tawa mai I runga, tu tawa mai I raro, tu tawa mai I roto, tu tawa mai I waho. Kia tau ai te Māori tū, te Māori ora ki te katoa, haumi e, hui e, tae ki e, na mihi nui. Thank you. Big agenda to get through today, folks. So we'll move through it as expeditiously as we can. Welcome everybody, and welcome to those who are here to present to us in public forum. That is always much appreciated. We'll crack straight into the agenda. Do we have any apologies? There being none, we'll go straight to public forum, and I'll invite Derek Adams, please. Welcome, Derek. Now, Derek, if you, with your machine there, if you push the right-hand button, a red light will come on, and then all the folks online can hear you. So you've got 5 minutes. There should be a little clock or a timer, but we'll give you a bing at 4 minutes.
Okay, yeah, kia ora, good morning. Mayor, councillors, thank you very much for the opportunity to say a few words this morning. My name's Derek Adams. I'm the chairman of the Hikuai District Trust, and I was keen to talk to you about the Tairua River Trail. So the Hikuai District Trust was formed in 2005, so that's 19 years ago, so it's got some longevity. And the original focus of that was around providing some funding for some Hikuai, various activities within Hikuai. About 12 years ago, the Trust moved all of its attention into the development of a cycle trail coming out of Pawanui. We started that with the support of the community board, and over that time we've developed a 7-kilometre trail, which is heavily used, has about 30,000 users a year. And we maintain it to a high standard, grade 2 standard. But our focus has always been on the desire to extend it all the way into Tairua, and about 2.5 years ago we kind of re-engaged with the community, with iwi, with NZTA, with DOC, and we have developed a solution which takes the trail all the way across the Tairua River and into Tairua. We have submitted and applied for resource consents, which have been granted non-notified by both Waikato Regional Council and TCDC. So we're very grateful for that. And we're now at a stage where we're looking to move forward into fundraising and construction. I know that you've got a paper today that's looking at various things, and I wanted to speak in support of some of that. Fundamentally, we do require some things from TCDC in order to be able to move forward. We are looking for a memorandum of understanding which spells out the roles and responsibilities between the TCDC and ourselves. We're talking about a substantial regional asset, and I think it's important that we have clarity around who's doing what. We also need TCDC to accept the role of controlling authority for the trail. We need TCDC to stand with us in a tripartite agreement, a licence to occupy part of the NZTA road reserve. And we also need access to some TCDC paper road and a strip of land around the back of the cemetery. So those I think are all covered in your paper, and we support all of those. But fundamentally, the key thing I wanted to talk about was long-term ownership and impact on ratepayers. Fundamentally, we don't particularly care who owns the trail long-term. What we do care about, we don't want this trail and the development of it to be a burden on the ratepayers. So we're very keen to support a model that minimises that to the absolute maximum. As far as the Trust is concerned, we fully expect that we will be funding, raising the funds and developing the trail. We fully expect that we will be maintaining the trail, and we fully expect that in the due course of time, if assets need to be replaced, that the community will raise the money and replace them. So And I guess that's really the key message I want to convey, is that we're in this for the long haul. We've been around for almost 20 years. We're in our second generation of trustees. We have a raft of volunteers, and I think places like Pauanui and Tairua are blessed with a team of people who are looking for something to do. And so we see this as a community activity, a community resource, and we're prepared to put the community effort into making it happen. So really, that's about all I wanted to say. We appreciate the partnership that we have with TCDC. We particularly appreciate the relationship with the community board. We can do this. We do need your help to put the right framework in place. Thank you.
Thanks, Derek. So I'm going to open this up for questions from councillors, and I'm sure there'll be some. So councillors, anything that you want to ask Derek that will help to clarify the position? John Grant, please.
Thanks very much, Derek. I know how well received this has been, in the wider community in regard to the plans for the further expansion development of the trail and I'm very enthusiastic about it. So my comments now are based around that enthusiasm to see these things actually put in, but overriding that is my responsibility to the ratepayers and the concern that I have in regard to the costs that are involved in the ongoing maintenance, particularly when things like a bridge are included within the plan. So I'm just wondering if you could speak to the areas of the fundraising activity and what sort of, we've heard the words. I'm just wondering if you can just put a little bit of detail in behind that, in regard to your reputation for being able to pick up these funds and how that will be maintained going into the future, so you can achieve what you said you would do and not put this as a burden on the ratepayers.
No, thank you. Look, I guess if we look at the existing trail, we have been maintaining that at 7 kilometres long, and we are maintaining that with a volunteer workforce, but it also costs money, and that the funding that we get annually from the community board, as well as our own small-scale fundraising, is more than adequate to cover that maintenance activity. In terms of how we fund the overall project, we recognise that there's a significant step up in terms of our need to fundraise. So we have a fundraising plan. We engaged a fundraising specialist. We've got a succession of avenues that we're going to pursue in terms of that funding. Key to having the funding is that we actually need certainty that we can build it. So hence we have not kicked off major fundraising activity until we secured the consents and secured these approvals from TCDC. Then we intend to target high net worth individuals and some philanthropic funds to secure some cornerstone partners. We will then look at kind of lotteries and those sorts of trusts that we can apply for funds. And lastly, we'll go to the community directly. And we're reasonably confident that there is sufficient support for the trail to have a reasonable degree of confidence that we'll be able to achieve that. And it might take us 2 years, might take us 3 years, but we are confident we can do that. In terms of ongoing maintenance and the impact long term, the maintenance is not actually that big a deal. It's about $100,000 a year. And we already get 50 grand from the community board. Maybe that doesn't last forever, but it's in the scheme of things with the number of users who use the trail, where our economic modelling talks about probably about 50,000 users a year. So there's a lot of people there, and we're confident that we can secure the right level of ongoing funding. At the end of the day, if the bridge deteriorates and in 25 years it needs replacing, well, the community will have to decide whether, Hikuai District Trust steps up and raises another, $2 million, $3 million to replace it. If the community values it, they'll be prepared to get in behind it. So I think that's our long-term thinking, and completely support the notion, as you say, to not have this on the books and therefore a liability to council.
Thanks, Derek. A question from John Morrissey, please.
Yeah, thanks. Hey, Derek, the community's lucky to have you and the others in behind this project and driving it. So well done there.
Thank you.
The my biggest fear is this infrastructure, which John alluded to. I heard you mention the cost of $2 to $3 million. I understood the bridge was possibly around $6 million.
No, just so we've got a budget of about $5 to $6 million for the entire trail, and that is made up of three basic components. There is the bridge, which is around $1.5 to $1.7 million. There is the boardwalk from the cemetery into the Tairua school, and that's about $2 million. That's quite a substantial boardwalk. It's 1 kilometre long, 2.5 metres wide, 2 metres off the deck of the harbour, and the balance is actually just in the land-based trail. So yeah, we've got the land-based trail is what we build with our volunteers and what we've done to date around the existing trail, but we've got these two significant assets in the bridge and the boardwalk that will need to be used professional organisations to develop.
For sure. And that boardwalk that you mentioned, is that in stage one of the walk?
It's well, essentially we are consenting we've got consents now for the full stage from the Tairua River right through to the school, and the staging of its construction will be heavily dependent on the funding. We would like to see the boardwalk built early if we could, because I think it provides the most immediate benefit to the Tairua community. But we do need the Tairua community to come on board,
right,
to fund.
Yeah, so just clarification for me, I might have used the wrong words, Derek, but you're asking the TCDC to be the controlling authority on stages 2, 3, and 4. Stage 1, is that going to have, that's got the boardwalk in it?
Oh, sorry. So yes, stage 1 of the trail, it has been built. It is there now. It was originally built by TCDC so it is the boardwalk section that comes out from the waterways, from the Pawanui waterways. That section that was stage 1, and it was originally built by TCDC, is my understanding, and then the trust picked up from there on and built stages 2 and 3.
Okay, and just two more questions if I can, because it's really, quite interesting. So stage 4 was never envisaged as having the bridge. It was actually going to be a walk around on land. And that option, of course, would be considerably cheaper and easier to maintain. Is that at all a possibility still, Derek?
We moved away from that because of concern from residents and iwi and DOC. So there were a number of obstacles. So yes, we actually consented a stage all the way through into Hikuai, and the project stalled for about 6-7 years. So this is an alternative to that. In reality, the bridge at $1.5 million is probably no greater cost than the additional 6 kilometres out to Hikuai and then 6 kilometres back to where the bridge lands at the Tanna Farm. So I think it's probably neutral cost-wise. this turns the trail into a 15-kilometre trail versus a 30-kilometre trail or 25-kilometre trail. I think it's probably better for families and so on at the length it's going to be. I also think the bridge will become a feature, that people will come here to ride the bridge. It's going to be a substantial bridge. So I think it's a better solution.
Okay, thanks. No, I'll leave it at that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John. Martin and then Terry, please.
With respect to Councillor Morrissey's, just two more questions. I'm very much aware that this is going to be discussed in item 2.1, and I just wondered through the chair if Derek will potentially still be available to answer any questions. I know we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 staff members presenting on that, but is it more appropriate to have these in-depth questions during that?
It's a good point, Councillor Rodley. Derek, are you happy to? I'm sure you'll be waiting around for the item to come up. Are you happy to make yourself available for that if questions come up?
If that's helpful, yeah, that's fine.
Thank you. Thank you. Terry?
Yeah, Derek, mine was just to really say a big thanks to you and the team for the work you've done to date. And when this project's put together, do you see it's going to have a wider benefit to a lot of people come to use and bring in maybe some opportunities for some funding, maybe through the connection with the boating and all that side of it?
Yes, look, we've had the New Zealand Institute of Economic Research do a full sort of analysis of this benefit. And this has wide-ranging benefits to the Coromandel as part of a network of trails, as part of the kind of tourism activities and so on. So yeah, look, we see commercial opportunities. Not that we're wanting to be commercial. We certainly not want to charge people to use the trail in any way at all. But I think this will generate some real economic benefit, and ultimately those people will be supportive, and hence our level of confidence around approaching the individuals who see that benefit and who believe in the Coromandel.
One quick question from me, and this has come through from our chief executive, who is here but online. The lapsing condition on the consent, is there a time frame for building that? Can you give us some bit of insight into that?
I think the consents have a 5-year. We need to make a substantial start within 5 years. We don't have to have it finished within 5 years. So we're very confident. We're actually hoping, subject to your approvals today, that we'll start some physical work later this summer. So yeah, we don't see a problem there.
So well within the time frame.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you. Any other questions? Delly, please.
Yeah, kia ora, Derek. Well done. What an amazing piece of work, and from Ellie and the team as well. Have you got business associations all over this and rubbing their hands together in glee and being supportive?
Yes, short answer. Yeah, we've certainly attended many meetings, and I'm sure there'll be many more in Tairua and within Pawanui. But yeah, we're very aware that this has been a Pawanui-centric initiative to start with, and we're very focused on it now becoming a Tairua and Pawanui initiative, and so there's quite a lot of engagement going on in Tairua.
Robin, please.
Good morning. I hear about the economic benefits. I'm relieved and reassured that you've got a fundraising plan, that you've spoken to NZ. Anyway, my question was sort of related a little bit more to, are there any benefits for the people who live in those two towns to replace, if there was an easy way to get from one place to the other without using their car? Is there some sort of benefit there? Can you see that happening?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, look, this is it's an alternative connection route between the two communities, and I think that's actually one of the wonderful things, because they're being two quite separate culturally, so this will connect the two. The 30,000 people who drive to a dead end, ride to a dead end at the moment, are all going to be in a cafe in Tairua, and hopefully vice versa. So yeah, I do see that also, if you look at the boardwalk, it's going to take pedestrians and cyclists off the quite narrow section of State Highway to the south of Tairua. So, I do see some safety benefits and because it's quite narrow, there's no footpath there. So,
Thank you. One last one from me, and this is more of a plea than anything. We have a presentation a bit later on in public forum from Fiona Cameron, who's the chair of Creative Coromandel. And as part of our arts strategy, we have a commitment as a council to identify through Creative Coromandel opportunities for public artworks in facilities that are enjoyed by the public. So could I ask you please to pay some mind to the opportunity for that? It's a trail that a lot of people will be using, an opportunity to engage with iwi or local artists and put some extra things in there which add value and interest to the trail. So I'm sure you'll be doing that anyway.
No,
so
thank you. No, that's we absolutely want to see a lot of information boards, iwi art. We're engaging with the 3 different iwi groups there. So we're very supportive of that.
Fabulous. Thank you. No further questions. Derek, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it.
Okay.
Next person in public forum is Linda Bird, who's online. Linda, are you with us? Saw you earlier. Currently muted. Linda, could you unmute so we can hear you?
Just doing that now. Can you hear me now?
We can. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We can't see you, so you might want to put your
Put a camera on.
camera on.
How's that?
Yeah, almost. There we go.
Good as gold. I'll just
All
turn
right.
your volume up. Hi.
Okay,
Can you-
over to you. 5 minutes.
Okay, I don't need 5 minutes. I'm here because I submitted to the recent parking bylaw based on a need that we've had in our front of our business. So for clarification, that's Dyson Whitianga. We're on Campbell Street in Whitianga, and we're round the corner from the main street, which currently has timed parking on it. Now, we moved into that building in 2017, and since 2017, I've lobbied, I've turned up at public forums, at community board, I've written letters and I've written emails asking if we could have the timed parking extended to cover the first part of that Campbell Street entrance. Through all occasions, I've been told that the time to address this would be through the parking bylaw when it came up for its renewal. It's up for its renewal. I went, yippee, I'll write my letter, and I've written in my submission, and I got a reply saying, because the consideration of extending that time parking was not included within the proposed parking bylaw, it can't now be considered. I'm a little frustrated, to say the least. So this apparently is my only option, is to turn up here at public submission time and say, come on, can we get it included, please? We're a retail business. We've got staff from other businesses around the corner from us that would park outside our business all day long. We do have parking of our own at the back, but you know what it's like. It's a retail business. People want to get in quickly and pick up or drop off, and it's become prohibitive for us. That's what I'm here to say.
Thanks, Linda. Question from Reka, please.
Morning, Linda.
Hi.
Thanks for coming to speak to us. So just a quick question for those people that are spending all day parking outside your store, is there close parking for them to use as an alternative?
Absolutely. Lee Street car park is only about a 1 minute walk away. There is also all day parking around the backs of the other streets around us, and that does get used. But yeah, Lee Street's the public car park, and it's literally a stroll away.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Linda. Any other questions? So, Linda, thank you. We'll take this offline and raise some questions with the appropriate staff that can give us some guidance on this. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Oh, Delhi, go ahead.
So, Linda, hi, how are you?
Hi.
And congratulations on your anniversary celebration
Oh,
for
no, we're all
Dive Zone.
We're all sick of hearing
well
that, dollar
done.
zone, sorry.
Still recovering.
Yeah.
Have you spoken to these naughty other business owners that have parked all day outside your business?
Oh, yes, I have. And, I've even got a little note that I stick on cars occasionally when I can identify that you're a regular, frequent flyer outside. It does happen. I mean, some of them have improved and what have you, but, look, at the end of the day, it's, we're a retail business. Carly across the road at the gym, her clients are good. But, equally, she's got parking as well for her clients down the side. But, we are businesses that people like to be able to pop in and out of, and it shouldn't really be that hard to get time parking extended from the main street round into Campbell Street. Seems like it is, though.
Cool. Thank you, Linda.
At
Thank
least
you.
very close if people want to park all day. It's like-
Absolutely, there's access ways through to it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Linda. Much
All right.
appreciated. All right. Fiona. Welcome.
Kia ora tātou, ko Fiona Cameron Aho, Chair Creative Commando He Mana Toi Moho Trust. Morena, Mia Len, elected members, thank you for letting me come and speak today on behalf of our trust. I'm going to speak to two agenda items. One of them is the art strategy that's being adopted.
Sorry,
today.
Fiona, do you just want to pick that whole thing up and bring it right in front of you? They're not.
Right,
There,
close.
let's say, there
Yeah.
we go. Thank you.
I'm going to speak to two agenda items today. One is the adoption of our art strategy, which our trust worked tirelessly to take it out to the communities to bring back to council. And the other agenda item is I'm speaking to our district events fund application for our 2025, the Coromandel Art Beat Spring Festival. First of all, I would like to invite council to work with us closer on our strategy. This is something that we already have a really good relationship with TCDC, but it's something that other councils do. It's not just a strategy to put on the shelf and forget about, but I invite you all to work with our trust and to look at the action points and what we can do for our creative communities around our rohi. Creative Coromandel believes in enabling our creative communities. We're particularly passionate about creative economies, and this is something that we particularly focus on. The Coromandel is known to be a strong space for the creative industries, and many of those people are businesses or connected into the economies, and it flows down. Arts, culture, and creativity is an important part of our society. And if we enable those communities, we can do a lot more for our communities around the Coromandel. The Coromandel is nationally and internationally known, the reputation, and our creative economies can also be seen as creative ecosystems. These ecosystems can be anything from a product or a service, but it's something that Creative Coromandel promotes. Tourism is a big part of what the Coromandel is about, and that's not just about our beaches and our beautiful bush and our rivers, but it's also about those communities and what they can do. So when people come to the Coromandel, they're looking to have creative experiences, particularly from the three main urban centres. I'm going to speak now to our district events fund. We have a $25,000 application at the moment. Staff has recommended 15. I would like to put it to council to give us 25. Our Art Beat Festival is a festival that runs from September to December, so it's a shoulder season. It looks to draw audiences from Auckland, Tauranga and Waikato to come to the Coromandel and to experience all that we have to offer. The Regional Events Fund is about stimulating those economies. It's about bringing tourism. It's about connecting our communities. And our Art Beat is right in there. And we're not just one event, we're regional. So everybody's community gets involved. It's diverse, it's eclectic, it's free. And we're enabling our creative communities to come onto our online and we will do the promotion for them. We have arts management skills. We have financial skills, we have governance skills, and if council enables us, then Creative Coromandel can do a lot more for our communities. I would argue that that's a big part of who we are, and if you look at other councils in New Zealand, New Plymouth, Whangarei, Nelson, they all have engagement with the arts communities through either a strategy or for festivals. Some of those festivals have been running for 30 years, and often the council enables those arts groups who are driving, they enable those arts groups to be able to run out these festivals. So one of the things I would like to say to councillors today is to look at what we can provide for our communities, our creative communities. We have 62 events already signed up for the 3-month festival. Last year we had 70. This year we will have more. It's completely free, and without our promotion and our support, those creative events or activities are promoting themselves or in their own spaces, but we can come in and we can provide an overview and give them a leverage which they probably wouldn't get. And I would like to finish by saying that communities that are connected are resilient communities, and communities that are creative are even more resilient communities. Resilience economically needs to be looked at in a wide sense, where it's not just about people in their own spaces, it's about a collaborative approach. And Creative Coromandel, that is our strength, that we can bring people together, we can make collaborations, and we can really make those creative economies fly. And I must say, I do feel frustrated by council, and I don't want to take this personally, because Len, it's been 2 years under your leadership, and I can see you listening to us and I can feel the support, but we need more. And if you give us more, we can do a lot for this community. And other councils have done that, and I would like to be enabled, and I would like our trust to be enabled so we can bring all our creatives with us and really achieve economic gains, and as well as social and well-being. Kia ora kōrero. Thank you for listening to my my speech this morning.
Thank you, Fiona. Much appreciated. Questions? Peter Rebel, please.
Thanks, Len, and thanks, Fiona, and thank
Kia
you
ora.
for everything that you and your organisation do. I'm sure you appreciate that it is very tough in terms of funding and funds and all that sort of thing, and we're very aware of that. I guess I have 2 questions. The first one is that we have yet to approve the funds that have been recommended. You talked about 15,000 and so on. We've yet to approve that. If that wasn't approved, what impact would that have? And my second question is, what does 25,000 do that 15,000 doesn't do?
Kia ora, Peter. So on your desk, I don't know whether staff presented to councillors our business plan. Kia ora. So if you look at that, you'll see a budget of 50,000 for next year's 2025 Art Beat. This year we're running on a budget of 30,000. We've been enabled by 20,000 of that is the REF, Regional Event Fund, and we were successful at securing 30,000 with the Lottery Community Grant this year. So 15, a portion of that is going to this festival. Next year, we're looking at our festival as a $50,000 budget, because we wanted to bring in creative workshops into the Art Beat next year. So those are workshops that we're going to run around the 5 wards. We would bring in some well-known international artists as well as local artists, and those workshops could be actually an income stream for our trust, and they would be under the Art Beat brand. If we don't get the 15, it means that we have to find 15. And what's another 10,000? What's 20,000 to enable a district-wide arts festival that's enabling many artists, that's touching many creative people? Our trust has been successful at securing funding, but most arts trusts or connected to councils have quite good support from their council. So I'm just saying that I would like to see more support from TCDC for our creative industries.
Thanks, Fiona.
Yeah, thanks, Fiona. Thanks for your words. Yeah, there's, I'm sure there's support around the table, but we really want to just ask the question now. The government has moved away from social wellbeing, and how will this help bring some of that wellbeing back to the communities?
Kia ora. Yes, The government has moved away from social wellbeing, something that our trust doesn't agree with. And I would say that the arts have a huge part to play in social wellbeing. When we went out to do our strategy, we went into our communities, and one of the top things that those communities said is their engagement with the arts in the community, whether that was workshops, whether that was theatre, whether that was music, whether it was exhibitions. It was about connection, and that's what they wanted. And how can you have a community without giving them connection? How can you just put money into roads and sewerage and building new pipes, and then people aren't going to be happy and engaged and socially looked after? To me, that doesn't make sense. A thriving community is a resilient community.
Thanks, Fiona. Any other questions for Fiona? Delhi, please.
Ata Marie, Fiona.
Kia ora, Delhi.
Thank you for your kōrero. What would you say would be from previous Artbeat festivals? What would be maybe the top three benefits or outcomes or successes from those?
A lot of it is the audience engagement. So our reach is also within our communities. So bringing our communities together, making those connections. The other is the audiences from outside. So bringing those economic gains. So people are coming to the Coromandel for the weekend, and they're looking at events, things to do. So the social connection, economic connection. And also, I think overall, if we're wanting the Coromandel to be a place that is good for your soul, then the creative industries are a big part of that. We're a huge part of that. And creative economies are something that if we invest in them, then they will give back tenfold. But I think thriving communities are both economically sustainable, but also for our social systems, and also culturally. Ngā Toi Māori is a big part of who we are, and those communities can shine as well through the Artbeat. And that's something actually I'd like to say about the Artbeat, that it's very diverse, that anybody can sign up. It's not just one rock festival or one exhibition. It will encompass and bring under its banner and anybody who wants to show something creatively or culturally.
Sure.
Interesting, because you've used the phrase good for your soul, which harks to Destination Hauraki Coromandel. We won't expect, because we give them money, we don't expect them to give you the money we've given them to help you, but do they support you with any kind of promotion or in kind?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, kia ora. We have a really good relationship with Destination Hauraki Coromandel. Obviously, the REF, 20,000 of this year's festival is coming through them. We have a really good connection with Megan and Hadley. We've just launched our new Artbeat website. They helped me with that. I go to them to speak about any marketing, and they share with me. We're working with them on a collaborative project to the Destination Management Plan, looking at the good for your soul. So yeah, I would say that our relationship with Destination Hauraki Coromandel is strong, and we work together, and we're looking to work together more in the future.
Thanks, Fiona. Robin, please.
Fiona, I'm aware that we're in the middle of the Artbeat Festival at the moment, and I'm sorry, I know you told me how many events, and we told us all how many events there were, but I can't remember right now. How many events are in this year's festival?
Yeah, cool. At the moment, we're on 62. So the events come and go. So we have events signing up every day, every week. Last year we had 70. That was our first year. This year it'll be over 70. Our new website, which was enabled this year with some of that funding, has really made more events sign up, because they can kind of understand how mahi is now.
And attendance at the events that have been held so far have been good?
Excellent. Yeah, excellent. The Coromandel Open Studios 2 weekends have just finished. They had great attendance. And then other events are happening all the time. The attendances are up. At the end of this festival, we will be reporting, and every event will be numbered, and that report will be going back to the REF and back to our funders. So we plan to present some really good reporting data on visitors.
Thank you.
Thanks, Fiona.
Thank you. Yeah,
Peter,
we're really
please.
proud of that.
Yeah, thanks. I noticed on your post, Fiona, that Hauraki District Council, are they providing funding for this?
Kia ora. No, Hauraki District Council was on there because they received 15,000 REF, the same as, so we got 20,000. So we push into the Hauraki and we promote some of their creative events as well. So it's more of a collaborative partnership. And our trust is wanting to look at doing that too. So that's why they're there.
Thank you. Any further questions for Fiona? Thank you, Fiona. Much appreciated.
Kia ora.
Are there any other public forum presentations that I'm not aware of? Okay, could I get a mover and a seconder, please, for public forum? Delhi, please. Rika, all those in favour? Thank you. 1.4, any items not on the agenda? There being none. Conflicts of interest, any conflicts of interest to declare? Delhi, please.
I'd like to declare a conflict of interest for item 4.9 in the public excluded agenda, and I will step back from the table for that one.
Thank you, Delhi. Much appreciated. Any other conflicts of interest? Terry, please. Thank you, Terry. Any others?
I have a conflict of interest about item 2.3, which I think is the same as Terry's.
2.3. On the funding for the district events fund. Thank you. All right. 2.4, sorry. Any others? Martin?
I have been advised, I don't necessarily agree with it, but I've been advised also not to take part in the district event funds. I would with the permission of the Mayor request that we look into the putting of elected members onto various trusts, because had a situation with myself. I had to step aside from the Karakia Rail Trail when it came up to financial things, been asked to step aside from this one. And I feel that if my role is to support these organisations, it may be best if elected members aren't on these trusts. So I think that's not a discussion for today, but I think it needs raising, because I don't know that we have a great policy around placements on COs and CCOs.
Thank you.
But yes, so that's a very, very long conflict of interest for item 2.4.
Thank you, Councillor Rodley, and I think it's a really relevant point, and it is coming up. So I think it's something that we need to look at the policy or policies around elected members on these CCOs. Is it hampering the objectives that we're trying to achieve here? Can I just please ask Councillor Revel, can you give us a little bit more information of your conflict? You're not a trustee with Creative?
My wife and I, we are involved in organising music concerts, and for the promotion of those, we do look to Creative Coromandel to help us make those successful for the way through their promotion.
So in terms of the specific items for the Coromandel Artbeat Spring Festival, you feel that that's okay? It's
yep, but that's
okay. Thank
that's
you.
one of the things we're looking to Creative Coromandel, to being partnered with them on the promotion of.
Thank you.
Music.
Thank you, Councillor. It's your call, your judgment. So I respect that. Where does it leave us in terms of a quorum? We're okay? Okay. All right. Thank you, councillors. That's much appreciated. Can I get a mover and a seconder, please, for the conflicts of interest? Rika and Gary, thank you. All those in favour? Thank you. We'll go to minutes for confirmation. Item 1.6, please. So we have committee minutes for confirmation, Sustainability and Resilience Committee first, then we have community boards, and there is a mixture of receiving and recommendations. So we'll work our way through those. And then council minutes. So we'll start, please, with the Sustainability and Resilience Committee minutes. And I'd like to ask Councillor Sinclair as chair, have you got any contributions or any thing that you'd like to speak to on this, please?
I think that it's worth a watch if you've got a spare hour or two. And I'm happy to move motions number 1 and number 2.
Thank you. Much appreciated. Could I get a second
Second.
for the minutes? John Morrissey, thank you. All those in favour? Thank you. Community board minutes. We have Tairua Pauanui, Coromandel Colville, minutes for receiving. We'll take those separately, I think. So could I get a mover and a seconder, please, for Tairua Pauanui? Terry, seconder, please. Delhi, all those in favour? Coromandel Colville.
May I check, Glenn, because
Yes,
the resolution number 3, according to our paper, number 4, receives all of the minutes. So have we just received?
Yes, sorry, you're right. We will take the recommendations separately. So in that case, we'll go to item 3. And Delhi, Terry, are you happy to move all of those minutes and Delhi second them?
Yep.
Thank you. Could I put that to the vote again, please? All those in favour?
Aye.
Thank you. Then we'll go to item 4, Whangamata Community Board recommendation from the meeting.
Through the chair, we had.
Oh, sorry.
Yes, just begging your worship's indulgent with item 4, is it possible to vote separately on A, B and C? I find myself being able to support 2 of those, but not the third one.
For item 4 only?
Yes, please.
Thank you. We can do that. What I would like to do, though, is invite the chair of Whangamata Community Board, Dave, who I think's online. Dave, is there anything else that you want to speak to fill out the information for us on this item? Have you got the agenda in front of you? We're not hearing you, Dave, so you might need to unmute, mate.
Good morning.
You go.
Can you hear
Got
that?
you now. We can, thank you.
All I can say is that this was discussed at length, and with the exception of one member of the community board, they were in agreement with the option 1, which is the Horizon Views Way as a name, which was the suggested and preferred name given by the applicant.
Thank you. Is there anything else that you want to add for the other items, Dave, or are you happy for those recommendations to go through as they are?
No, I think that's the only other discussion that is the point in relation to the pedestrian crossing in Martin Road, which has caused some concerns.
Thank you. So I'm happy to follow the request from Councillor Rodley that we take items 4A, B and C separately. So I'll put those. Item 4A, could I get a mover and a seconder, please, for 4A? Terry? Seconder, Delhi. All those in favour of 4A? Aye. Those against? All right. Would you like that recorded, Councillor? Thank you. All right. Your mic's on.
Well, I was wondering when this doesn't include the Whangamata Community Board.
We're on 4A, B and C, which is Whangamata Community Board now, page 4.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking at page 17, which is the in the agenda. You will note that the zebra crossing was opposed by myself and Councillor Walker. And I just don't think the safety aspect has been considered. It's right on the edge and it's just going to cause chaos. And that was my worry, and I think Terry's worry. And you know, I've been there and looked again and gone, this is really. So that's, I certainly still stick with that view.
So we've got the recommendation in 4B to note that the road controlling authority adopts the draft guidance on the provision of zebra crossings provided by NZTA. Are you at the moment saying that you do not want to adopt that or vote in favour of that recommendation? Have I got that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Got an access way across. Make sure the road's clear before they cross.
Okay, thank you. Robin, please.
I think in terms of what our role here as community board, as council is, the community board discussed this at length. I've read the paper that came to you. I've watched the recording. The community board discussed this at length. There was quite a long Q&A with Ed, who spoke to those concerns. The recommendation has come from the community board to do this. And I recognise that 2 people voted against it, and those 2 people happened to be here. But the decision made on the day by the community board was to reinstate this crossing. And so I would urge council colleagues to listen to our community board colleagues who have suggested that this comes to council. This is what the community board has decided that they wanted. Terry?
Community board did not want this crossing. They wanted it moved along the road further, halfway between the 2 roads to the supermarket.
Councillor Walker, the recommendation that has come to us has to reinstate the crossing.
Yeah, but not the crossing, putting crossing on the road, not making it a pedestrian crossing where the pedestrians take right over cars turning. At the moment, it's just a walkout area with the knobs on each side of the road. You make sure the road's clear and you can cross. Currently, its current form is fine.
Can I just ask the chair of community board, who'd already expressed some concern, Dave, can you throw some light on what's going on here? Dave, you unmuted and then you muted again.
How's that?
That's better. Yeah.
It is a concern as to the location of this crossing, and it was discussed at length. The problem is that if it's moved much further from that intersection, there is concern that people won't use it and that they'll just cross the road without using a crossing at all. The main complainant of this intersection was a blind person who uses it, who lives in Aiken Road and uses this route to go to the local supermarket. And he was concerned for his safety. He was to appear at the hearing public gallery, but he didn't attend. But we can appreciate the fact of him, and we are concerned about if it's moved further, whether it will be used.
So the option here, from what I can see, is that we do not accept. We put it to the vote. We do not accept, and this comes back to council for further advice from staff.
That would be correct, yes.
Martin, please.
Is it worth noting that 4B is basically giving our council permission to use the draft guidance from Waka Kotahi, and that we could vote on that to get 4B out of the way? But unless we vote to approve 4B, I believe we can't do 4C because we would be in breach of our own guidance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So where does it
Got that
leave us?
completely wrong.
Robin, did you have another?
Yeah, just to the points that are raised here. I'd like to draw councillors' attention to page 17 of our agenda packet, which has the item discussed, the resolution that was passed, moved by Member Drury, seconded by Chair Ryan. Number 2 supports the installation of a zebra crossing at the junction of Martin Road and Aiken Road, Whangamata, subject to Thames Coromandel District Council adopting the revised draft guidance provided by NZTA. So this is something that has come to the community board. 2 people did vote against that. They happen to be the councillors representing the Southeast Ward, but the community board has made a decision that supports the installation of the zebra crossing. And I think that that is the decision that we have to uphold. We all talk about community empowerment. Our community board has asked for this. There is only one solution in my mind.
We've actually got, as a chair, saying that they're not happy with where it's been proposed, and I think it needs to go back to staff to consider something that's appropriate, because it was winged a bit on the day.
And I'm hearing from the community board chair as well that there are concerns.
So we're happy, just to clear this up, we're happy with the current location. Well, we're accepting the current location. Where it is, put on the edge of a intersection, but we don't want stripes on the road, which gives the right of the person walking out on the road for cars to stop. In other words, it's where it is currently is fine, but don't put the stripes on the road. So then the pedestrian can tell the cars, I'm coming across the road, you must stop. When cars are turning right, they'd have to stop in the middle of the road.
I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that's in
No.
our mandate to be
When
able
you
to
put
make
the
those
stripes on the
decisions.
road, people walking out, cars have to stop. Currently at the moment is left with no stripes and it's fine.
Yep.
We'll live with it.
So the decision in front of us is, do we vote as a council and get this through one way or another, or do we ask that it goes back to staff? So let's put it to the vote.
No,
Got some people that wish to say. Reka, Martin.
Reka?
Having been through a Main Street upgrade and looking at, safe crossings and things like that, the guidelines, the rules around zebra crossings and safe, what are those other things called, are really, really tight. So, and we have some fairly solid roading staff in this organisation. Surely we wouldn't be proposing something that would be unsafe or outside of NZTA or the road crossing guidelines that we're looking to support. So if we approve the draft guidance on the provision of zebra crossings provided by NZTA Waka Kotahi, surely that would then be at staff's discretion to put this in a safe place.
Thought so.
Yeah.
Would have thought so. Which
They're
John is
concerned if people put a crossing across it.
John Morrissey.
God, that is so hurts me to speak after you, because you just nailed it. And look, a zebra is not a zebra without its stripes. It's a horse. A zebra crossing has to have stripes on the road. And I'll tell you now, we're not going to put something in that doesn't comply with NZTA guidelines. It's going to be safe. I'm actually prepared to support it. And it's actually frustrating to actually have to go down into this detail at this table when it should be very straightforward. And that's probably just cost the ratepayer a few dollars to just have that discussion.
Martin.
I believe I also watched the video. It's difficult to hear at times, but I believe that our roading manager, who was present online, said they were more than happy to put additional signage around on, correct me if I'm wrong, Aiken Road, to warn people of the crossing on there. And also, I believe the roading manager said the visibility there was good, as far as being able, people going round the Aiken Road corner could actually see that the horse or the zebra crossing quite clearly.
All right, I'm going to ask Donna to speak, and then Delhi, and then I think we need to try and resolve this.
Thank you, through the chair. Just in having an offside discussion here with my colleagues, we could suggest a 6-month trial to have the crossing there. Also,
which other councillors have actually said that we are following NZTA guidelines. And we would hope that they wouldn't be recommend something that was unsafe. But the trial is an option.
Is that something we would need to put in a formal resolution? Or do we just accept that the staff can go ahead and do that? Terry, you've had a say, we've been around the table, Delhi, and then we're going to try and get this resolved, please.
We had a similar situation in Whitianga, and it was the zebra crossing around the corner from the main street into Lee Street, and people threw their arms up and said, people will die. This is a stupid location. There was such a hoo-ha. Nobody's died. So I'm actually supporting Councillor Sinclair here. I just think let's move on. We've got more important things to deal with today.
Yeah. All right, so let's put it to the vote. If we go back to page 4, get the wording in front of us. We're on 4B and C. All right, so 4B and C. Can I get a mover, please, to...
Sorry, Len, before you do, are you suggesting that we do this as a trial, or are we just taking the minutes as they are? Okay, sorry.
But we have the option of a trial, which is something that we can leave with staff and they can do, or do we need to resolve it formally here?
Did you want to test this one out first?
We can do that. All right. So, Councillor Sinclair, seconder, please. All right. All those in favour? Those against? All right. Thank you. That's carried. And look, to be fair, I think what's driving this behind the scenes is the need, the desire on the part of councillors to just keep people safe. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. We need to have the discussion, but it's about safety. So it took a bit of time, but we're okay. Nobody died. Thank you. All right. Moving on. Thames Community Board recommendation from the meeting held on 11th September. We've got item A, approves a recommendation for a deed of lease, Citizens Advice Bureau. Have we got? Okay. Did you have anything that you wanted to add to this, or is it pretty straightforward? You're okay with this?
Unlike the previous board, we were unanimous in this decision.
All good?
Yeah, excellent.
Okay. Thank you. Could I get a mover, please, and a seconder for item 5A? Councillor Revel, Councillor Connell. Sorry, I didn't see that.
Can I just check? We've got 5A, but there doesn't appear to be a 5B. Is that presumably there isn't a B missing, or is it?
I'm not seeing a 5B. So it's just a 5A. No? Am I missing anything? All right. Mover and a seconder. All those in favour? Thank you. That's carried. Okay. Item 6, Mercury Bay Community Board. We have an A and a B on this one. Do we have a community board chair online? Unavailable. Okay. All right. So I'll get a mover and a seconder, please, for A and B. We have deputy chair here. Was there anything that you wanted to add to this, Rika? All right. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Oh, sorry. Did we get a seconder? Councillor Grant. So all those in favour? Thank you. All right. And 7, Thames Coromandel District Council minutes for the meeting 3rd of September. All those in favour? Oh, sorry, mover and a seconder.
Through the chair, we have received some information from the lease officer on page 49 in regards to item 2.6, the sublease proposal. We have been informed that the School of Mines is actually run by Heritage New Zealand. So we do need to make that change, and we're just bringing that up on screen now so you can see that. So if you're happy with that amendment, we can make that as part of the minutes for confirmation.
Thank you, councillor Rodley. Seconder to the amendment, councillor Sinclair. Okay, so subject to those amendments, mover and a seconder, please. Where am I at?
Yeah, we're fine. If you just want to put the motion.
Item. All those in favour? Thank you. That's item 7. All right. Okay, we're going to go to item 2.1, which is the MOU for Hikuai District Trust, Tairua River Trail. So we have a report, we have an addendum on appendix, which is the memorandum of understanding.
Excuse me, can I just ask a question?
Sure.
Have we passed the minutes of the Thames Coromandel District Council of the 3rd of September?
Just did, yeah.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to raise the point, just a question. Page 43, where I had a conflict of interest, have you received yet the breakdown of the figures from the census? You haven't received them yet.
Through the chair, no, we haven't received anything yet from Dale.
Better chase them up.
Okay.
Thank you, councillor Gottlieb. Okay, Mitch Candeli, welcome. Welcome. So Mitch, we'll hand over to you to just give us some background on that. We've had Derek speaking to us in public forum, which was very helpful. What can you tell us?
Sure. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. So just like to acknowledge that we're here with Ali Davey, our Trails Coordinator, and other contributors to the report, also Kathy and Faith from the Project Delivery and Parks team. So a big team effort on this report today. We've also got Warwick, the Community Board Chair, as well to answer any questions. And you've heard from Derek as well. So the Tairua River Trail has reached a point where the only practical route forward is for a bridge over the Tairua River and other built assets that will connect Paiwanui with Tairua. Should this progress as proposed, there are some big upsides. Obviously, there's the direct benefits to the Tairua Paiwanui communities. There's the social and economic well-being for those groups. There's the tourism element, but there's also for our organisation the benefit of working in collaboration and in partnership with a community organisation to deliver something that they've organised, fundraise and deliver. So that's creating a community asset that is not coming out of the ratepayer pockets by and large, and is going to provide well-being for community for decades to come. So that's on the upside. We acknowledge that even with the lowest risk option as proposed by staff, there are still some risks. But I guess, and we can get into those, but there are risks in doing anything, and we think that the risks outweigh the benefits outweigh the risks in this case. The decisions we're asking you to make are that council become the controlling authority for stage 4, providing the mechanism to protect enduring public access across the length of the trail. We're also asking you to decide not to take ownership of any of the assets along stage 4, which avoids the depreciation expense of those assets, while still having some oversight and costs as the controlling authority around the quality and maintenance of those assets, and delegate to the chief executive the signing of the MOU, the NZTA license to occupy, and the powers to enter into future license to occupy agreements and operational agreements with the trust. We can jump straight to questions around the report if there are some particular areas of interest.
Thanks, Mitch. Councillors, I'm sure you'll have some questions, so we'll start with Councillor Rodley, please.
Good morning. Just looking at it chronologically in the report from decision 1 about the controlling authority, I note that section 1 isn't recommended to be, we're not recommended to be the controlling authority for that. Is it normal practice for a particular trail to have controlling authority over the whole lot, or is it quite okay for that first section to be sort of excluded?
It's yeah, I guess it's quite okay. I think that section was built quite a long time ago, and I think just for the ease of progressing the project from the point that it is at now, it's just most practical to become the controlling authority for the stage ahead, because the decision or the commitment to make a decision on controlling authority on the stages already completed 2 and 3 was already made by previous councils. So we didn't want to go back and try and unpick stage 1. It's essentially just a footpath that's treated as part of the community. Assets that are.
Just a follow-up question, if I may, is there a plan to re-look at that once we've got the controlling authority for 2, 3 and 4, or are we leaving that as it is?
If that's like seen as significant for the council.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I necessarily want to. I just want to know if that's potentially an option.
Yeah, it's not hugely material when compared to the decisions around the stage 4.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Questions? Peter, please.
Yeah, thanks. First of all, thank you for the quality of the report. I found myself reading something and then having a question and turning the page and finding it was answered on the next page. I thought it was a really well documented report. Thank you very much. A couple of questions from me. First of all, 1.05 million over 44 years works out at $24,000 a year. So that means we will be, what's that buying?
Yeah. So it's just a little bit more nuanced than that, because it's inflated, and so over the lifetime of that period, and so at the end of that period, it's in dollars in 40 years' time, and so that buys staff time to work with the trust essentially. In the first instance, it buys inspection costs of the assets to make sure they're up to standard and as agreed in the documents. And every 3 years, we've factored in some costs to assess, to basically inspect the assets. And that will enable council as a controlling authority to just work effectively with the trust to manage the quality of the assets whilst the trust still owning the assets. This is a really in-depth analysis, but still a hypothetical. They're estimates, and they're our best estimates today, but we're extrapolating those costs out over quite a long period, and they might change.
Marginally.
Yeah, marginally.
Okay.
Their
I thought that's
inspection
what you were gonna
costs,
say.
it's completely different to the other options where the depreciation, the cost of depreciation is very significant.
So with those inspections, does that include inspections during the construction phase? Or, okay. It doesn't feel like a lot of inspection money.
So there's still obviously building consents that need to be, they still need to get building consents for the structures, or for some of the structures, and so that will have its own process of compliance.
Okay. So there'll be other.
But
okay.
Yeah, that's the main structures will be consented, building consents,
and those are yet to be, and they'll be funded by the trust.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. Then just finally, if I may, just in the memorandum of understanding, I didn't see anything that talks about what happens when in the event of potentially the trust disappearing, the bridge rusting away, whose responsibility is going? And in my mind, I'm thinking of the swing bridge up the Karakia Valley, which was there in 1985, and everybody had a lot of fun jumping and diving off it. It's not there anymore because it became dangerous, and it was the council and ended up having to pull the whole thing down, cost a lot of money. I think we should clarify in the MOU what happens in the event that any part of the thing reaches end of life.
Yep. I guess ultimately, and this is a part of the decision, is that informally council ends up holding the bag on these kind of things if they go south anyway. And so that happens with assets that are on public land or like in this case, across multiple landowners. And in particular, in this case, where we're asking or taking some responsibility to be the controlling authority across this section of the trail, we do have the ability to close the trail, but we would still be left with the cost of doing that if there was some catastrophic impact to an asset that couldn't affordably be replaced. That would still come back to council unless the trust was able to fundraise that in that circumstance. So you've heard there's a strong commitment from the trust, and they have been around a long time, and I expect them to be around for a long time in the future. But you know, for these type of assets, that council would be left to deal with that.
Right. I think in the public forum, what we heard was that at a point that something did in fact reach end of life, if the community thought it was really good, then they would fundraise to replace it or whatever. I'd like to think that if the community didn't want it, that actually the cost of removing the suspension bridge, for instance, sat not with council, but actually sat with the trust. I guess that's where I'm going with the MOU.
Yeah, I mean, that's, I guess, practically probably an interesting thing to explore, like how practical that is. It's not being considered in the MOU. Yeah.
So can I request that it be considered, please?
Yes.
Sorry,
but the decision today asked council to endorse the MOU in full. So if the decision is to do otherwise, then we can move forward with that in mind.
Let's move through the questions. I think we might need to come back to that. John Grant, please.
Thanks very much. I sort of feel a little bit conflicted because on one hand, I am hugely supporting, but also on the other, feel the responsibility on behalf of ratepayers to understand this ongoing commitment. To help me understand that, can you please explain structural differences between this arrangement and, say, the Karakia Rail Trail?
Yep. So the Karakia Rail Trail is a council-owned organisation, and so it's jointly owned with 3 councils, and there is a funding agreement between those councils and the trust to make to fund strategic costs, which fund the operation of the trust, and proportional funding for maintenance of the trust. And so it's quite different. In the Tairua Pauanui example, you have a trust that's completely independent of council, and it will fundraise and maintain the trail, or is making a commitment to maintain the trail independent of council. That commitment will be administered through an operational management agreement, and so they're quite different.
But then ultimately you have this controlling authority, which really means that you're there as the person of last resort.
Yeah, the main benefit of the controlling authority is because it provides the mechanism to protect public access And so you have one body holding the easements across multiple landowners. And this is really what territorial authorities or councils are here to do, is to take responsibility for something when there is a public benefit that benefits the wider community. There's really no other organisation that can take that role. So that's the purpose of that piece of legislation under the Walking Access Commission. So yes, there are some fish hooks around being ultimately responsible for it, and we intend on effectively managing the relationship with the trust to help keep them accountable for their commitments to maintaining the trail. But yes, it is going to be enjoyed by the public. And I guess the legislation is there to say, well, if it is a public asset, then the public will share the ultimate responsibility of that asset.
The 82,000 that is referred to on page 75, I think it is, as an ongoing cost, is that?
What section is it under?
It's page 75 of our pack here.
Consideration.
Yeah. Referred to an amount, ongoing amount, I think of 82,000.
Oh, so there's the community board. Oh, that's an estimate of the cost to maintain the trail. So Derek mentioned a figure earlier, which was $100,000 a year. So that's basically like a cost per kilometre of trail as an estimate of what it would take to maintain this if you were using contractors. That's just based off some industry standards from other councils around how much it costs to maintain this type of asset. And so this section shows that for the last 10 years, the community board has funded $50,000 a year towards the maintenance of the trail. And they've committed that until the end of this LTP period. And that has enabled the trust to maintain the trail, but also build a surplus that has meant that they can spend quite a bit of money on consents and investigations and design to support stage 4. So that's what that 82,000 a year is.
Is it expected, and Warwick might want to answer this, that contribution will continue past the period of the LTP? Is that seen as an ongoing contribution?
Yes, it is. I'd like to have a little say at some stage too, if I may. If you can factor me in there somewhere, Mr. Mayor.
Very happy to do that, Mr. Chair.
What, now or finish with the questions first?
I've got a bunch of councillors lined up with questions. So what I might do, and some of those questions might be able to be answered by you. So let's let the councillors ask their questions and then we'll come back to you if that's all right. We've got Delhi next, please, and then John Morrissey.
Fantastic report, and appreciate the amount of mahi that's gone into this. I'm looking at page 61 of the packet, which is the recommendations. And of course, Derek and the trust team would have looked at these recommendations and sat with Mitch / Ali. So my question is the trust happy with all of the decisions 2 through 8 on page 61? They've discussed that and said, yes, we agree, these are the preferred options. Okay, cool.
Yes, that's my understanding. That's correct.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you. John Morrissey and then Terry, please.
Okay. Look, I hate being that guy, but I'm probably going to be him again. First of all, I meant what I said at the beginning, Derek, about the community over there being very lucky to have you and others that are in behind a project of this scale and size. Okay, very, very, very lucky. I'd like to just say, Warwick, you can't give an assurance that funding from that community board will be given past that date, because you and I are of an age where that might not even happen. The the thing is, we've already put $592,900 into this project, and that's going to go to $764,300 by the end of the LTP. That is a substantial amount of money this council has already put in, and I think that sort of ongoing funding for one project is not sustainable. I don't believe that that will continue on forever. So the trust is going to be really having to look for money from somewhere else. That is actually ratepayers' money, even though it came out of the Tairua Pawanui ward. So ratepayers have contributed heavily already towards this. I get really apprehensive. I don't mind walking trails and stuff, but when you start putting major infrastructure in, and I agree totally with you, Peter, this council, the music invariably stops playing at the wrong place for this council. We'll end up carrying the luggage on this one if it all turns to custard. I would expect there to be something clearly stating, like in the MOU, as you pointed out, that took that liability away from the ratepayers. A derelict bridge, for whatever reason, is going to be extremely expensive to remove at the end of the day if it has to be removed. Whereas a trail, you can just let the weeds grow over it and you can actually close it up. And I explored the idea. This actually came as a bit of a surprise to me, to be honest with you, this project. I only became aware of it in the last 6 months, the magnitude of it. The original scope was never to have a bridge in there. It was to actually have footpaths the whole way around, and that's become difficult. But difficult doesn't mean impossible. I really would like to see some further exploration of footpaths instead of bridges, which I would find more palatable. Yeah, that's where I'm sitting at the moment. I just feel that we're exposing the ratepayer to some cost in the future, some unforeseen costs, and I really am not in favour of doing that.
Could I just respond? Sorry, John, to your point around the original scope of the trail, the original design. So Derek is correct when saying that the point at which the trail stops at the moment on the Pawanui side has been stalled for many years.
7 years.
Yeah, and many of those years have involved dozens and dozens of meetings with the relevant stakeholders to try and resolve the issues that mean that the trail cannot progress to Hikuai. And this trail, it really is not an option going to Hikuai along the shore there. It has been exhausted, all of those possible outcomes. So even after the trust had resolved issues with Māori, with Heritage New Zealand, and with some of the stakeholders, there are others that just cannot be overcome. So that's why the bridge, that's why all the focus has turned to the bridge.
Thanks, Mitch.
Terry, thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Mitch. And yes, it's all over going that way, Councillor Morrissey, so they're not going that way. They've done that work, done the hard yards. Look, this is a group that's come together with a whole lot of ability and passion and want to make this, and the community are right behind it. They're not saying, oh, this might be, must not be. They're saying this is a great project and they want to see it happen. And the assets they're putting in are going to be 30 plus years assets. They're not going to be 5 years and gone. They'll be there for a long time and done in a way that's professionally and used by everybody as an access way for this trail. So when I first read the report, and I thank you very much for the report, I found it really detailed, but I really enjoyed the meeting we had the other day in Tairua just to go through it piecemeal and understand it. And I thought, well, maybe should we sort of look after those major assets as part of it? And then we had the discussion and thought, well, this is 2 or 3 years away before we even get this discussion going. So we're down the track. So I'm very much in favour of just signing the controlling authority and leaving the assets as they are with the group to manage and move forward, and down the track those decisions will be made in a way that they see the best when they get to that stage. So yeah, I support this controlling authority. They need to have this to move the project forward. So this is a must. And this is a project that has got the support of community, and I think the community will support it and make sure it's managed and maintained in a good order. So yeah, good thing.
Rebecca, thanks.
Yeah, thank you. And I just reiterate those comments about it being a good paper. Peter's right. Every time you sort of thought, I've got a question or there's a surprise here, the answer was not far away. And the comments that have been made around the table of council being the last man standing in these situations is very real. But in hearing that, I understand from the community they're really passionate about making this happen. And I think that this is an interesting way to make this happen in terms of signing the controlling authority, but allowing the trust to hold on to the assets and get on with things. I think it's a great way and could be something that we could look at for other projects around the district so that the communities can create the vibrant and thriving communities that they want to live in as well. And connection's huge, particularly in our part of the district. I don't like surprises. And so I wonder whether there is a place within that MOU to have some wording around, end of life or the trust tidying things up should they no longer wish to have this asset or maintain it. Yeah, those are all my comments. It's just sort of a conscious rambling, really. But thank you again for the paper and Derek, the good work that your trust have been doing.
If we need to revise the MOU and bring it back to council, we can do that.
So, yeah, Donna. Guidance on that.
Through the chair, we could, or alternately, somebody could propose a resolution that the chief, to delegate to the chief executive to negotiate the exit or provisions within the MOU, rather than it coming back to council.
On that basis, I would be supportive of it if that was the case, but would it actually end our legal obligations as a controlling authority? Would the MOU be strong enough to actually negate our responsibilities as a controlling authority?
Yeah. So we can still close the trail. So you can, by closing the trail, you're basically forfeiting your role as a controlling authority. So it's obviously the last worst case scenario, but that is provided for, in the legislation.
Maybe Warwick should have a few words.
Can I just say, I would be,
turn your mic off.
I would be happy with the recommendation that Donna Harvey is making through empowering the chief executive to negotiate, end of life exit as part of the MOU.
We could amend item 5 on page 61 potentially to allow that to happen. Let's hear from Warwick. Warwick, do you mind going down there so we can see?
You got nothing to see. You're just going to listen. I don't want to get near John. Well, first of all, Mayor Lynn and councillors, thanks for the opportunity to speak. Some of my comments have already overlapped. We've heard from Derek. So I just like to give you some background on the origins of this trail. Some 50 plus years ago, brothers Ian, Tony, Bill and Guy Hopper started a subdivision at Pauanui, and they were trendsetters at the time. They had great vision. What they achieved became a benchmark for others to follow. They were also believers of getting things done quickly. They were very creative with new innovative firsts, creating amenities that would benefit the community. One such project was a boardwalk through the mangroves. This has now been recognised or referred to as stage 1 of the much larger scheme that's before us today. Although this section is not part of the trail extension, it was probably the catalyst that triggered further interest. It was not long before talk on extending this walkway became a reality, with meetings being held amongst the communities. Fundraising began, plans, permits, consents were applied for. And it wasn't long before a group of dedicated volunteers from Pawanui began steadily working on the construction of a trail that would ultimately see it reach Hikuai, with an option of a further leg back into Tairua. Now, we all know that the venture was to come to a halt with unforeseen circumstances arising mainly from opponents of the intended location. These have now been successfully negotiated and the way is clear to proceed. The communities of both Tairua and Pawanui unanimously support this Tairua River Trail. We see this project as not only being of great benefit to our communities, but indeed to the whole of the Thames Coromandel District. You only have to look at similar projects in other places in the country to see the benefits to local businesses and communities. Indeed, there are some examples closer to home that are already showing the benefits of such trails. It is expected that a similar group from Tairua will take up the challenge to continue the project on the Tairua side of the river. It has now reached a stage that requires some consolidation that will ensure completion, compliance, and a commitment from all parties involved. Our community board has provided considerable funds towards the construction and maintenance of the trail to date, and I see this continuing in the future. Our communities remain enthusiastic and are looking forward to the realisation and the completion of this trail. We also realise that without some pain, there will be no gain. So with keeping rating impacts front and centre, we are asking that the Council approves the recommendations tabled in 2.1 that will ultimately ensure that the Trust aforementioned will be able to commence fundraising and subsequent construction. We support option A, that Council becomes a controlling authority without asset management. Thank you.
Thanks, Warwick. Thank you. I wonder if we should test the resolutions as they stand on the basis that we've got quite a lot of room in front of us to be making changes as this process develops. What this would do, if we put the resolutions as they stand, there is no reason why this discussion can't come back to the table later on to address some of the concerns raised. But what it would do is it gets the ball rolling for Derek and the team to start their fundraising. I know that from the comments from Derek that they are open to working alongside council in any way that needs to happen to make sure that we're all on the same page and moving forward. But I'd like to propose that we put the resolutions as they stand and see what the feeling of the council is. So I've got a mover in Terry. I've got a seconder in John. Could I get a vote in? All those in favour, please?
And I'm hitting my button.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, I would actually be happy to support this, but I think we need to have an amendment put in to incorporate Donna's suggestion in the MOU. This is the stage to do it, so it's black and white. And if that can go in there, I'm really happy to support it. So we're looking probably at number 5.
You're moving an amendment.
An amendment.
To number 5?
Yeah, and it'll be what Donna said.
What Donna said.
What Donna said.
All right. Oh, they're working on it now, so throw it at them.
Okay.
Let me just go back to
Yep. So.
This is not covered names. It's not different, is it? John? Delegates to how to enter the future operation agreements and like.
Go in anywhere, Terry, but the thing is it has to go in. That's all it needs to be specified. And I think John and Peter are on the same track.
underline, just so they know. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, my apologies, team. So let's go to items 1 through 8 on the basis that we've got that amendment there in item 5, decision 3, option A. We have a mover and a seconder originally. Are we happy for the mover and seconder to Terry and John? You happy with that amendment? We'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? Those against? Thank you. All right. Thank you, Mitch. Thank you, Ali. Thank you, Derek. Good work.
Thank you.
Good work.
Sorry, through the chair, can I just please say thanks everyone who supported this project. It's been a bit of a long project, but Kathy and Luke and the project team, Ed and the roading team who's been out there riding his e-bike all the time, Faith and Jess and Mitch who's put some really hard mahi in behind it, and also Dean and Eileen. So it's been really across the council, so I really appreciate it, councillors. Well, they're the most important. Thanks.
Thank you.
Questions? Thank you, team. They were good. They were good.
How the team feeling about the morning tea break? Dean, would you mind indulging us? Fiona, if we bribed you with a cup of tea or a cup of coffee? Yeah, all right. Okay. Can we do that, boss? All right.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll take a break. We'll come back at 11, please. Those online, we'll take a break, come back at 11. Thank you.